The taxi door hadn't even closed behind me when I saw my boss's expression change, just slightly, enough to tell me he'd already formed a question he didn't want to ask. His eyes dropped to the receipt still crumpled in my hand. And then he spoke, voice low, polite, but edged with confusion. "Dave, why did you come by taxi? What happened to the BMW we gave you for your promotion?" The question sliced deeper than he knew. For a second, I simply breathed, slow, measured, like someone trying not to bleed out too quickly. The morning air felt heavier than it should have been. I could still smell the perfume that didn't belong to me or my wife, but had lingered in the passenger seat yesterday. I opened my mouth, but she answered first. My wife stepped beside me with a smile too rehearsed to be casual, too bright to be innocent. "That car belongs to my sister now," she said lightly, as if handing away a company vehicle was a charming anecdote we'd all laugh about. Silence spread like frost. My boss looked at her, then at me, then back at her. I could feel my pulse pounding beneath my collar, but on the outside, I stayed perfectly still, perfectly calm. It was safer that way. Stillness kept things from breaking. She kept smiling, unaware of the crack forming in the room, unaware of the way my boss's jaw tightened by an almost invisible fraction. I didn't say a word, not yet, because some truths deserve silence before they burn. My boss took a breath, long and heavy, and in that moment, I knew something in him shifted. And what he said next wasn't words, it was action, and it changed everything. The night before, the BMW key had vanished from its usual place. At first I assumed I'd misplaced it. Stress, fatigue, a long week. But then her sister walked in with it dangling from her fingers, laughing as she told my wife how smooth the drive had been. My wife didn't look at me, not once. She just said, "I thought she needed it more than us." Us. Funny how people use plural pronouns to hide singular intentions. I remember standing in the doorway, feeling the floor tilt under my feet, feeling reality loosen its grip. The room buzzed with their chatter, shallow and insincere, while something inside me went cold. I asked myself the question I wasn't ready to voice. What else have you given away that belongs to me? But it wasn't the car that broke something in me. It was her tone, casual, dismissive, entitled, as if my work meant nothing, as if my promotion was hers to repurpose, as if I were an accessory she could rearrange. Maybe that was the moment I realized the betrayal had roots far deeper than a stolen vehicle. It had been there for months, quiet remarks, strange absences, whispers she ended too quickly when I walked into the room, pieces assembling themselves. I just hadn't wanted to see the final shape. But the BMW was the first piece she couldn't hide, the first piece I couldn't ignore. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice, didn't touch the car. Instead, I watched. Her phone, once glued to her hand, now lay face down more often. Her sister visited more frequently, too frequently, slipping into conversations meant for couples, inserting opinions that weren't invited. Receipts appeared on the counter, lunches, spa days, gas stations nowhere near her office. Her laughter held a different pitch when she spoke to certain people, softer, younger, like she was trying on a version of herself that didn't include me. I kept my silence. Silence is a tool, a mirror, a trap. I traced routes, call logs, calendar entries. None of it was explosive. All of it was revealing. Every detail was a stitch tightening around the truth. I never confronted her. Instead, I went to HR, indirectly, quietly, through the channels she thought she controlled. The irony tasted bitter. Her sister had been hitching rides in company vehicles, logged by security cameras, confirmed by gate records. Policy violation, misuse of corporate assets, breach of internal ethics, especially for someone in her position. I didn't weaponize it yet, not until I understood the whole picture. The night before the taxi ride, I finally checked the GPS history of the BMW. And there it was, a hotel. Not expensive enough to be classy, not cheap enough to be accidental. The location repeated, again and again. Not just hers, her sister's, sometimes both. The pattern formed a truth so sharp it didn't cut me. It carved me into someone quieter, colder, more deliberate. The morning of the taxi ride, I walked into the kitchen with a printed report, GPS logs, timestamps, HR policy violations, security footage stills. I placed it on the table between us. She looked up from her coffee, irritated. "What's that?" "Proof," I said. She blanked. "What proof?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She flipped the pages. The silence that followed wasn't silence at all. It was the sound of her world collapsing in slow motion. Her face paled. Her breathing stuttered. Her fingers trembled on the edges of the paper. "This isn't, Dave, wait, this looks wrong. It looks staged. Someone did this to make me look bad." I watched her fall apart, calmly, almost clinically, because when you already know the truth, the reveal isn't pain, it's confirmation. She reached for my arm. "Dave, please, listen." But I stepped back, just one step, enough to tell her everything. That was the moment we arrived at the office. My boss asked about the BMW. She gave her smug little answer. "That car belongs to my sister now." My boss looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time and realizing he had overestimated her intelligence. He didn't yell, didn't scold, didn't ask further questions. He simply turned to me. "Dave, my office, now." We walked. She followed. Inside, he closed the door, locked it. I placed the report on his desk, wordless. He read it faster than I expected. His jaw tightened, his eyes darkened. Then he pressed the intercom. "Security. Escort HR manager Rebecca Collins from the building. Effective immediately." Her breath caught. "What? Wait, you can't fire me without." He cut her off with one sentence. "You stole from the company. And you misused your position. Your husband just showed more integrity in 5 minutes than you've shown in 5 years." She turned to me, eyes wide, voice cracking. "Dave, please, do something." I did. I walked past her, without a word. She called my name as security led her out. The sound echoed behind me, hollow and desperate. I didn't look back. I didn't feel triumph, or grief, or anger. Only clarity. Some betrayals aren't loud. They're quiet reallocations of loyalty. Quiet transfers of respect. Quiet thefts of what you earned. Walking into my office, I felt the weight lift. Not because she was gone, but because the truth had finally spoken louder than her lies. My boss stepped in later with a simple nod. "You handled this well." No praise, no sympathy, just acknowledgement. The kind that replaces broken things with something stronger. As I sat down, the chair felt different beneath me. Firmer, steadier, mine again. I exhaled. Slow, final. Because sometimes power isn't reclaimed through confrontation. Sometimes it's reclaimed through silence and the precise moment you decide you're done being stolen from. And that morning, I was done.